Is it okay to give thrifted gifts? Honestly, I think this is one of the most interesting questions of our time. And I don't know about you, but for me, I've been discussing this with both friends and family so many times over the last few years. And it tends to come up, well, one around Christmas season, which is around the corner, at least at the time of recording, but also when it comes to birthdays, hostess presents, and very much so because I have this age of baby showers. Is it okay to give thrifted gifts? Honestly, I think this question says so much about where we are as a society. If you don't know me, I am a professional thrifter, vintage and antiques reseller. I've literally made a career out of used goods. But before I went sideways into this, I actually spent many years working as a sustainability consultant. I still do that. And therefore, I of course have environmental insights into why this is important too. So as a professional thrifter with roots in sustainability, I want to give you my thoughts on why you should consider thrifting your gifts this season. So we're seeing a massive shift in consumer behavior, and I'm really nerdy about this topic and I love diving into it. So what I've found is that lots of people would actually like to live a more sustainable and mindful lifestyle, but a lot of them see barriers to entry. And when it comes to putting action behind the want to be a part of this, people are failing and it's not really happening. And I think it's really interesting. Why is this? And is it because there are still stereotypes associated with a pile of, that thing, the feeling you get when you go into a cluttered charity shop and it just feels cheap. So we'll talk about how that can be combated. But before we go into that, I want to touch on sustainability as a separate thing, because right now, today, we have enough clothes on this planet to dress the next 7 generations. I think that's so wild to think about. So with that, there are so many opportunities for you to go out and buy really good quality clothes and use it either for yourself or gift it to someone else. Another stat I find really interesting is that we are in the UK alone throwing out 22 million pieces of furniture every single year, and out of them only about 17% of them gets recycled and put into reuse. So these numbers are just crazy, and that means a lot of stuff is going to landfill. And I think that's really sad. And I think that is a reason for us to pause and think about, okay, the items that we buy, are we first of all buying good quality items? And are we buying for a lifetime? And I think when it comes to good quality vintage items and antiques, we are very much seeing quality going hand in hand with our purchases, and therefore we are prolonging the lifetime. So if you are considering giving thrifted gifts for Christmas this year, and you find it a little bit difficult, I want you to reframe it as you are now someone who is voting for a better system based on the way that you're making consumer choices. Because when you're giving a thrifted gift, you're giving something that is already existing, and you are saying no to more waste and yes to more meaning in life. I always like to say it is not second hand, it is second life. So that's the sustainability aspect of why we should all be thrifting more. There are amazing goods out there, they're good quality, and we are voting for a better planet. And who doesn't like that? So now that we touched on the sustainability part of this, I want to talk about another really important part of thrifting, and that is the fact that for a while now we've been facing a cost of living crisis, and there is no denying that many people are suffering and can't make ends meet day to day. So when birthdays and Christmas and all of these giving events happens, it is a massive financial and mental pressure on people. But even if you are one of the lucky ones where ends meets every month, and that's fantastic, then you might not want to spend hundreds of pounds or dollars on gifted items. And I think that's fair enough. Either way, thrifting can be the cheaper choice, but it can also be the wiser choice. And I think there's something really important here, and that is just because you're thrifting, it doesn't mean that you have to buy more to meet a certain budget. So in my childhood, my mum would always have, and she still has, this funny figure of, I think it's around £50 that she will give us. And very grateful for that, but she would go out and buy more items to make sure that the budget meets. And I don't think that's right. I think if you can find something of great value in a thrift store, then you don't have to meet a certain budget because you already bought something which you thought about and you selected for the person because you thought it would bring value to their life. So I want you to introduce this concept into your life of buy good, not more. If you think about buying a bowl, a really lovely kitchen bowl for someone, then you can go to John Lewis, and I'm sure they have a lovely designer one for £50. But very often if you go to an antiques, a flea market, a thrift store, or your favorite online shop for vintage items like Vinted, Etsy, eBay, then £10 might get you something that is just as luxurious, if not more. And I think that's the beauty of thrifting. You get something that's really unique, often at a higher quality, but also at a better price point. Because a thrifted item, what I find to be so beautiful is that every item comes with a story because it has been pre-loved. And you take that love story and you pass it on to someone else. And that gives the items meaning. So when you're embracing the shift of buy good, not more, then it's all of a sudden not about how much money you spent, but it's about how much you thought about it. And I think nothing beats that. That really gives meaning to the gifts that we are giving. I think a big question here is, would you be happy to receive a thrifted gift? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you think about it. How do you personally take it when you receive thrifted gifts? I know that I don't mind. I love it. I actually prefer it. Sometimes people will buy me things, and because I'm a professional magpie, sometimes I'm like, why have you bought me this new bowl over here? It's really kind of you, thank you, but I really just want the old one over here full of soul. So I don't know how you feel. Let me know in the comments. When we're talking about thrifting, there is no denying that a lot of people associate it with a pile of trash, like that feeling of going into a really cluttered thrift store or going to a car boot sale and you're just hauling through things, and it might be really difficult to actually determine what you're looking for. And by all means, I understand that. But if you can just get yourself to a point where you are going and you are trying to isolate an item from all of the other items, it's really possible to discover some real gems. And I'll give you an example. One of my ladies that I source from, she has this fantastic garage, and she's been an antiques dealer and reseller for 30 years. So sometimes when I need stock for the store, I will bring my suitcase. And it is going into a garage with stacked moving boxes with stuff in them. But it's so interesting whenever I come home and I take the items and I wash them and I clean them up in the kitchen, and it's just like you breathe life into it. And that's really, really interesting. So even for yourself, give yourself the challenge of going out, try and find an item, bring it home and see what you can make of it. Now, this is gifts, of course. So once your item is cleaned up, it's all about the presentation. I have this philosophy in my resale business that every present or parcel that goes out needs to be presented well. even though I'm just a seller. So I always feel like I'm giving my buyers a present, if that makes sense. So I will take the items, and we have so much silk ribbon from our wedding. So as of for now, every piece gets a little bow and a little wraparound, and then I have a handwritten note that I put in like a little gift card, which of course, like, thank you for buying this present or this item, and here are my social media handles, whatever. But if it's you in a gifting situation, I would literally get my hands on some brown wrapping paper, and I would wrap it really nicely. I would put really rough string around it, and I would have a handwritten note. And having the item cleaned up and wrapped really beautifully makes all the difference. Get your hands on some dried leaves from your garden or local park, tie that in as well, and it just shifts from being something that you just bought on a whim in John Lewis amongst 20 other presents to becoming something that you have really thought about. And I think that's super beautiful. So you're elevating your items by taking them out of the thrift pile in the vintage shop and cleaning them up and wrapping them really nicely and making it feel personal. And that's really what it means when we're giving, right? We want things to feel personal. And that's really what we want to achieve. We want things to move away from feeling like, oh, it's just something I quickly grabbed in John Lewis alongside my 20 other presents, to this is something that I have selected with intention for you, and I've wrapped it with care, and now it's being given to you really, really beautifully. If you want to elevate it even further from the brown wrapping paper, which I think is so stylish, you can also get a sheet of silk paper and put on the inside. It will give it a little bit of a pop of color. But either way, it's completely fine and on the cheap to wrap in that way. On newspaper, it is so beautiful. Save your newspapers and wrap it in that with some string. It's so, so good. It's actually something I'm gonna offer in my shop as well, which is gift wrapped items. And I promise you that whatever leaves the beautiful shed behind me will be gift wrapped as if you did it yourself, because I want people to feel the care in that transaction, and not everybody is able to do it themselves, and it's a whole like sending parcels around, so that's just easier. But yeah, wrap with care. That's the point. If you're into thrifting, decor, and interior design, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. It does generally means the world and keeps me motivated to create more videos like this one. If you are ready to give thrifted gifts and vintage items to friends and family moving forward, I just want to give you a reframe that you can bring with you should you ever be in doubt that this is okay. And that is that when you're buying new, you're very often buying new and cheap to be enjoyed for a short while. But when you're buying vintage or thrifted items, you are buying chosen, loved goods that people can enjoy for many years to come. So not only are you making a sustainable decision, but you're actually making a decision about giving something that people can continue to love for a long, long time. So if you do have that inner voice of new equals better, try to park it, leave it behind, and think about it as vintage and thrifted means longevity and good stories. And should you encounter the ever odd uncle that gives you a weird look, or a sibling that is like, what the heck, why are you buying me this old stuff? Do you not think I'm worth more? Then I think approaching it with sincerity and just saying, do you know what, I found this, it made me think of you, and I think it's so beautiful, and I thought this would be just perfect for you. Most people respond really well to sincerity, and if they don't, well, that's on them. And hey, you are ahead of time. I do think that in the next 5 years, we will see much more thrifted items when we are looking at data, and I am a data nerd, then we are seeing everything is going upwards. More and more people are really embracing vintage, thrifting, antiques, and I think that is so exciting. So to answer the question, is it okay to give thrifted gifts? I will say, heck yes, it is. It is meaningful, it is sustainable, and it really is challenging the norms of what does generosity look like. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do let me know in the comments if you will be buying thrifted gifts moving forward. Maybe you have something specifically in mind. I'd love to know about it. Tell me all about it in the comments. I want to know. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Check this one over here out, where I will take you thrifting and I'll give you some tips and tricks along the way for how you can make choices for good items in the season to come. Thank you so much, and I will see you there.